us what happened to the case where Mwendwa, we were expecting you people to come in court, and there were directions that if the state doesn't file any charges against him, they close the file. What went on and what did the ODPP say?
Well, you remember a fortnight ago we were here when the DCI and the ODPP brought Nick Mwendwa in court, seeking to be given more time to hold him as they continue investigations on alleged malpractices and abuse of office at FKF. The court agreed with them in part and released Nick Mwendwa on cash bail and gave them a limited period of time to conclude those investigations, if at all there were such investigations, and make a decision whether or not to charge him. Today was a mention when the DPP and the DCI were to indicate to court whether they'd finished their investigations and if they had any charges to proffer against Nick Mwendwa. Of course, as expected, no charges were proffered, and the DPP notified the court that they have closed the file, a confirmation that Nick Mwendwa had been arrested, detained on flimsy and trumped up charges, because if there were any charges, nothing would have been easier than to mount them today. But it speaks to something wider than the arrest, detention, and the intention to charge Nick Mwendwa. It speaks to the management of FKF and the so-called caretaker committee. If the caretaker committee was set up fundamentally on account of the claims that Nick Mwendwa had abused his office and was suspected to have stolen money from FKF, then that caretaker committee ought not to be there in the first place. Nick Mwendwa has been vindicated. That is the conclusion we take from what has happened in court this morning.
Did they speak about any investigations going on even after closing the file?
The closure of the file means that the investigations have concluded. There is no criminal culpability against Nick Mwendwa. You understand? So there are no criminal charges. There will not be any criminal charges against Nick Mwendwa.
Now, on to the other matter on CBC. We understand that...
Yes, our request for an expanded bench of judges to hear and determine the competence-based curriculum petition that was filed 3 months ago was determined today. Justice Anthony Mrima has certified the petition as raising a substantial and novel question of law requiring determination by an expanded bench of judges, being 5 or more. He has therefore referred the file to the Chief Justice, Martha Koome, to empanel the bench of 5 or more judges, and a mention has been fixed for the 7th of December, when we will appear before the bench of 5 or 7 judges to take directions on the hearing of the petition itself. Sawa.
Thank you.
This morning, the DPP and the DCI have said that they have closed the file on Nick Mwendwa and they do not have any charges to bring against him. This therefore marks the end of the theatrics that we have been subjected to over the alleged malpractices and abuse and mismanagement of FKF. Now, as I'd said much earlier, if the reason for the formation of the caretaker committee were the tribulations of Nick Mwendwa before the DCI and the DPP, then it is now evident that there was no basis whatsoever to disband Nick Mwendwa's duly elected committee and to set up a caretaker committee. It is our expectation that the court before which that matter is pending, the matter of the caretaker committee, will do the right thing and ensure the duly elected officials of FKF are given the opportunity to serve their mandate. It has become the order of the day when the government or interests within government seek to permeate professional bodies with a view to countermanding the lawful authority of elected leaders. And FKF is not the only one that has been subjected to this intrusion and interference with its internal affairs. It is hoped that the government or governmental agencies, state officers and public officers will desist from this misbehavior. If bodies have been formed, if bodies have the power to elect their officials, they must elect the officials and have those officials serve in the manner in which they're supposed to do under the law.
Wakili samani mpaka ukiendelea, labda tueleze uamuzi wa leo na
uamuzi mgani?
Kwa kwamba kesi ni faili imefungwa ile yani Mwendwa.
Inamaanisha kwamba upelelezi uliokuwapo umefikia kikomo, kwa sababu mkurugenzi wa upelelezi wa jinai DCI na mkurugenzi wa mashtaka ya umma DPP wamesema kwamba ripoti walio nayo haidhihirishi kwamba kuna mashtaka ambayo yapaswa yalete dhidi ya rais wa FKF Nick Mwendwa, na wamesema kwamba wamefunga hiyo file. Na ikiwa file imefungwa, dhihirisho ya kwamba ile kamati iliyobuniwa kuchukua nafasi ya Nick Mwendwa na wale aliochaguliwa nao haina uhalali wowote kuendelea na kazi ambayo imepewa na waziri wa michezo Ambassador Amina Mohamed.
Na maana Nick atarejea tena kwa ofisi kuendelea na shughuli za kuendesha soka Kenya.
Napofahamu kuna kesi iliyoko katika mahakama kuu ambayo Nick Mwendwa ameleta lalama yake dhidi ya kamati iliyobuniwa na waziri wa michezo. Kesi hiyo bado haijasikizwa. Ikiwa itasikizwa na ikiwa itazingatia mambo ambayo tumeyaona leo, basi judge ambaye anasikiza hata kuwa na budi ila kuruhusu maombi ya Nick Mwendwa kutupilia mbali kamati hiyo ambayo ilibuniwa na waziri.
Naweza kusema ilikuwa ni njama fiche labda kumuondoa Nick Mwendwa ofisini kwa namna kwamba kesi sasa imefungwa faili yake.
Bila shaka ilikuwa njama fiche, kwa sababu Nick Mwendwa alichaguliwa kama rais. Na ikiwa alichaguliwa kama rais, waliomchagua, japokuwa kuna wengi ambao huenda wapendelei uongozi wake, basi ako na mamlaka kutoka kwa wale waliompatia nafasi ya kufanya kazi hiyo kuendelea na kazi hiyo. Na wizara ya michezo haina uhalali kuingilia mambo ya ndani ya FKF.